they really didn't, the last time they did this 5 years ago, they were much better about it than this time. And, I did call an attorney to see if whether I can do a First Amendment suit. They just knocked a top 25 talk show off the air, violating that way, guys.
I thought the same thing when I first walked back into the house. I was like, wow, they didn't take most of Ian's computer box things, and apparently what they did was mostly just unplug stuff. I think that they didn't have it on the warrant, so they're like, well, we're gonna mess it up anyway.
Right, they just randomly unplugged everything. Let's go to the phones here, see what Vernon has to say. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Vernon, can you hear me now? How about this, Vernon? Well, apparently I don't know how to work this thing. So we'll put Vernon back on hold, and I'll try to get this fixed during the break. And basically they took stuff from people who were uncharged, that lived at the house, roommates. Hey, it could be Ian's. It's not. I'm telling you, it's not. And well, do you have receipts for it? I don't have to provide receipts for things that I bought that you're trying to take out of my house.
Just for in case some robber comes in and tries to make sure it's not my landlord's.
Yeah, but do I have to run around with one of those little those little tag machines where I put my name on everything?
You better sew your name into all your clothes.
That's right. It's ridiculous. The FBI may come and take your stuff.
Now, what happened? No, so nothing happened out of the first raid, right? There was raid number 1, right, where they never followed through, and nothing ever happened with that raid.
The best of my knowledge, they took all that stuff, and TJ, who was TJ the spy on the air here, he filed to get his equipment back that he had taken.
Right.
And he said that the evidence tags were untampered with from the day that they were taken. So they put the stuff in evidence bags and never touched it.
Right.
Now, I cannot understand. Ladies and gentlemen, you tell me, why would the FBI take a bunch of equipment claiming that somebody had accessed child pornography from this
because
this
2
network?
weeks prior, you had accused the FBI of selling child pornography.
No, I didn't sell it necessarily. They distributed it.
Distributing it,
yeah.
Yes.
And not only did I accuse them of it, they did it.
Right.
And no one will even say anything about it. National news media will not call them child pornographers, but I will.
Right.
If child pornography harms people, and I'm willing to go so far as to say it does, fine. Let's just give that as a given. If it does, then the FBI harmed people.
Yeah.
They arrested almost nobody on this sting. They were the largest distributor of child pornography on the planet for 3 weeks in March of 2015. And they've done it since then.
Right. And Penguin said that they did stuff like upgraded the servers and made it faster and added more child porn. But
right. There you go.
Why would that be necessary?
Because they wanted to distribute child pornography, apparently.
But it was already...
Most of the people were outside of the United States, outside of their jurisdiction. They were just distributing child pornography.
Right.
Now, I don't know why. Maybe it was to catch a few people who downloaded child porn or whatever. And I get it. That's bad. But distributing it's worse, isn't it? Who do you think is worse? Somebody who downloads it or somebody who distributes it? Especially somebody who distributes it knowing that they're distributing it to people that they'll never put their hands on.
And you would think that there would be a way that they could figure out how to draw people in and then not actually send the images.
Yeah, well, it was
or video or whatever. That's something that's
anything?
not that's not the real like bait and switch.
Anything,
It was already the #1 child porn website, right? So all they had to do was just take all the child porn off and still be getting all people trying to look it up who were still like, where did it go?
Right.
But you wouldn't have to add more child porn and make more or make it faster.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what came of that? Nothing. They never even looked at the equipment. So they took it and they never looked at it.
So I guess the point that I'm making there is that, it seems like usually when people's rights are violated by the police, right, or there's wrongful prosecution and it's provable, right, that the police wrongfully arrested someone, that the lawsuits from those things typically result in huge payouts.
Well, we'll see.
Right.
At this point, I imagine Ian's pretty mad. I know I am.
Yeah.
And, we'll see from there. 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Free Talk Live.
Carl Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country.
Yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
The number, 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. Still getting used to the new number. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, we were talking in the last segment about the raid here that was very recent on Free Talk Live Studios. Johnson, it's your first time being on the air since this all occurred, and you said you had a question more about that, or?
Sure, yeah. So what I was bringing up is the fact that it seems like when there's no charges brought and it doesn't pan out that there's like some sort of arrest, right? That the police or a law enforcement agency arrests someone and nothing comes of it because they messed up, right? They made a mistake. That usually what happens is that the person who has been deeply wronged and inconvenienced by that wrongful arrest sues them. And usually that when that happens, it seems like it tends to result in a very large payout. I think in the example that comes to mind is the former Free State Project, Carla Gericke, who sued the Manchester Police Department and got a payout of like 50 grand at least.
It was
What did they do to her?
Oh, where? They violated it. She was trying to film, and they told her she couldn't. You have a camera, something like that.
Yeah, they just bothered her civil rights on the side of the road, and then never did an arrest. Well, the FBI is very, very good about getting convictions, even if because most people plea out. They come at you with all these charges, but they're coming at Ian with 10 years to life.
Right, but Ian didn't do anything with the last time that they bungled around and did nothing, and wrongfully harassed him because Ian's a peaceful person and
he doesn't want trouble.
And, didn't want to deal with it and didn't want to bother with, and I don't think he believes in lawsuits, but I mean, sometimes you gotta strike back against a bully because otherwise they think that they can just keep coming at you with no repercussions.
Ian doesn't sit around thinking about being wronged. He's just... He just gets over stuff.
Right. And there's no doubt about it. But I mean, that's what you hire a lawyer for.
Yeah.
You hire the lawyer and pay them to think about you having been wronged.
Right.
And
it's self-defense at that point. It's you have to do something so that you can't, that it's not just, we can just keep doing stuff to this guy.
This is the beauty of the non-aggression principle. So the non-aggression principle is a short moral axiom that libertarians and the Shire Free Church use to determine what is at the baseline, moral versus immoral.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that everything that's moral is right, but it's a baseline for morality.
Right.
And
sort of like the 10 Commandments. Nobody follows all of them all the time, but a lot of people try to live their lives that way.
Right. In this way, it's you don't initiate. Aggression is the terminology. Aggression is initiation. You don't initiate force against anyone for anything but political or social goals or whatever the terminology is. But basically, you don't initiate force. You don't do anything. You don't hurt. You don't lie to. You don't steal from. You don't do bad things to people who haven't done them to you already. But if they have done them to you already, tit for tat is... frankly, the best system for keeping humans in line.
Retribution.
Because, if humans find out that they can abuse somebody, they will come back and do it. I'm sorry, we're that kind of species.
Yeah.
Maybe you who are listening to me on the radio, maybe you are an exception and you never would impose upon anyone who wouldn't have retributive force. But
maybe
somebody would.
Maybe not retribution or retributive should be the best words here, but restitutional.
Yes.
Restitutive force, like restoring someone back to where they were by means of making them whole again in some way, shape, or form. It's, obviously if somebody has committed a crime where it's like, say someone's been killed and that person can't be brought back, but there are certainly other things that can be done to at least make someone's life better and somehow make attempts at making that person whole if something has happened.
Yeah,
for example,
your loved one being dead and no money is worse than your loved one being dead and you getting some money.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, and I think that lots of people in the world, most people in the world want to see somebody who, wants to change. I mean, maybe they've stolen or broken something that they can never replace.
Right.
That the price is just
something
too high.
Like family heirloom got destroyed.
Right.
Or,
one of the things that I've always thought of is that ship captain who hit the Skyway Bridge in Tampa, Florida in the late 70s or early 80s. I don't remember exactly when it was, but my guess is it would be something like 1979. And he, how could he ever make good on the fact that he killed like 17 people and knocked down a freaking bridge. You know, never. He could never do that. But, you know, some attempt to make good, people will often be very kind to somebody who's genuinely sorry.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's basically that. I want to, I guess I'm not taking calls, are you? Can I try to take these calls? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try to take Vernon here real quick. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello?
Okay.
Hey,
we got you.
Okay.
Success. Maybe.
Hello?
You're our first caller since the raid.
Maybe not success.
Yes.
I don't think he can hear us.
He can't hear us.
Hello?
What am I doing wrong, Arya?
Hello?
Should I push this button again? How about now, Vernon? Can you hear me now? Now? No?
Oh, he might have hung up.
Yeah, hang up.
He couldn't hear anything.
You want to try the next caller and see if they can hear us? If you make it solid red?
Might as well. Go ahead.
Solid red. Solid red.
Mark from Massachusetts. Can you hear me?
Make it solid red.
Mark?
Not blinking.
Hello?
Mark,
Hello, can you hear
me?
us?
Can you hear me, Mark?
Nope.
Mark? Hear me? Well, we're having some little
that
audio
doesn't work.
problems. Sorry, folks. Doing our very best here. I want to go on with this article that we've got about the baby bust. So during COVID, apparently, I don't know whether people were having sex, but they weren't having babies.
Well, that's the usual method, I think.
Yeah, that's generally how they do it. Brookings Institute estimated in December that as a result of the pandemic, 300,000 fewer babies would be born in the U.S. in 2021 compared with the last year.
It is weird because I have 3 pregnant friends and I never have pregnant friends.
Well, you're getting older, Bonnie. You're going to have more pregnant friends.
I guess that's true.
Birth rates declined in Italy by more than 21%, France by more than 13%, and Japan by almost 10%. No rebound followed the global financial crisis. The U.S. birth rate, after rising to its highest level in decades in 2007, my son, by the way, was born in 2008, plunged after the 2008 crisis and has declined gradually ever since. So
that certainly points to economic reasons.
Yeah, I think that it's a lot of it.
Right.
Are you a millennial, Johnson?
I'm a Zennial, I guess.
Zennial, so right on the edge of a Gen X and a millennial.
Yeah.
So just like Ian.
Yeah.
So I don't think that anyone can represent a group, but I know that, Bonnie, you are on the tail end of millennial, right?
I'm supposedly the last year of millennial, but apparently the Census Bureau says I'm a Generation Z. I think that if I'm not a Generation Z, then like 1995 to 2000 is just its own mini generation because I'm just nothing like a millennial, nothing like somebody born in like the late 80s. I'm absolutely nothing like that. But at the same time, somebody who's born after 9/11 is pretty different than me too.
I tend to think that people who I tend to think that the generations are just too big.
Yeah.
And that it's probably better just to sort of say 70s kid, 80s kid, 90s kid, you know, that kind of thing. But
I agree.
But that doesn't really work either, in so much as I would call myself an 80s kid, but I was born in 1971 because the 80s was my generation. I didn't dance disco, you know. I didn't know anything about. I mean, I saw Star Wars when it came out in the theaters. I suppose I could call myself a 70s kid in that sense, but really, my mind was clearing in the 80s, not in the 70s. So it's not even clear what one means when one says that either. But I can tell you that the last time we had a drop in birth rate, it didn't rebound, and this time we've had another drop. What do you think about it? 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
We've had people call this show in the past and posit that the declaration of a national emergency essentially opens up all of the loopholes that they can utilize that have been built into the Constitution. Because as Lysander Spooner would put it, the Constitution has either been powerless to prevent this big tyrannical government that we have today.
Sure,
or
a government far beyond the scope that our founders ever, even in the wildest dreams imagined.
Or it has authorized the government that we have today.
I can only assume that that's true. I mean, I used
the
to
latter?
be this. I can only assume that it's the Constitution that, in fact, authorizes all of this crap that I thought at one point was unconstitutional. And we are, as I stated, still under a level of martial law that was declared for the Civil War. Everything they're doing is legal, as far as I can tell.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Call in. Talk about whatever's on your mind. We're talking about the baby bust going on during COVID. It's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
The number, 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. And we've got some calls on the line here, and we were having a little trouble. Aria, is it good to go to give these calls a shot? Okay, we're gonna give it a shot here. Going to Mike in Massachusetts. Mike, you're on Free Talk Live. Mike, can you hear me now?
Doesn't sound like he's even by his phone.
No, it doesn't.
Hey, it's Mark.
Oh, you can hear us?
Oh, it's Mark. I'm sorry, Mark.
It's Mark.
I did what everybody does to me. I called you Mike.
Hi. It's okay.
What's on your mind?
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
He might be listening to his radio and not the phone.
Well, I just wanted to ask a really quick question. My best friend
Mike, Mark, we're having some trouble hearing what you're saying.
Actually, ex-best friend, unfortunately.
Your ex-best friend.
Well, I talked to him, and from New Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
From New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And he got really mad at me because I said that New Hampshire and Vermont were very much alike.
Yeah. Well, at like any places that are very much alike.
Natural beauty.
Yeah, they look very alike, if that's what you mean, just like by the
Right. Trees are the same.
big rocks everywhere.
Try to put a shovel in the ground. You're going to hit a rock.
Politically.
He took it what? Politically? Yeah, I think that there's some differences and some similarities in New Hampshire and Vermont. I think a lot of people don't even know the difference, frankly. Most people in the United States can't really tell the difference between Vermont and New Hampshire. But Vermont back in the late 70s, many of the hippies were like, what are we going to do, man? Like the ones that sort of stuck around. Hey, we're trying to change the world, and well, you're not changing anything. Hey, I got an idea. Let's go grow vegetables in a house we built by ourselves.
That sounds amazing.
Right. It sounds great until you do it. And I did it. And you know what? It sucks.
Aw.
It's, you know what? It's like freaking cavemen. You know, it sounds nice and everything. And you should do it when you're young, because if you do it when you're old, you're going to want to shoot yourself before you're done. By the way, this is what I tell everybody who wants to build their own house. First, go to the bank, withdraw in whatever bills. It doesn't matter what bills. Withdraw $10,000 in whatever bills, and then get your loved one to go out into the driveway with you, and take that $10,000, cover it in lighter fluid, and set it on fire right in front of them while you look them in the eye, because then you will know how they will react later as this catastrophic occurrence goes on in your life of building a house.
I never really wanted to build a house, just the escaping into nowhere and growing vegetables. That's what sounded fun to me.
Yeah, well, we grew vegetables at my house. As a matter of fact, we managed to get, we had pigs too, and we managed to get meals that we grew right there on the farm. And it does feel good.
That's awesome.
But I'll tell you this about growing vegetables. You will spend far more on those vegetables than you will ever spend in the grocery store. Raise chickens if you want to spend $5 a pound on chicken. You know? Yeah, I gotta say that that whole thing is not a good idea. But anyway, what that movement was in the late 70s was called back to the earth, or back to the land. And the hippies moved up in large part from New York City to Vermont. And they moved right up I-91 and populated in Brattleboro all the way up to Burlington. And what was up to that point a Republican conservative state became quite mixed and quite polarized.
And I find it ironic that I read an article recently that Vermont has the highest cost of living in the entire country.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second.
That you have to make more to survive in Vermont than anywhere else in the United States.
I mean, that's amazing. In Alaska, imagine what the heating costs are in Alaska, but no, Vermont.
Right.
Yeah. And New Hampshire's just behind it, I'm sure.
I just think, what about Silicon Valley? I mean, I guess they're taking into account the entire state as opposed to just one area, but still, you would think that would even bring up the average of the entire state of the California because of how outrageous it is out there.
California's full of hobos too, though. And they're dragging everything down as far as costs go. So no, I don't know. Whatever. It's that was the difference between Vermont and New Hampshire. Let's go to the phones here, see if we can take David calling in from Michigan. David, you're on Free Talk Live. David, can you hear me now?
I think I hear him, but he's quiet.
Hey, smokers. Well, first off, it's good to see. Hello?
Hello, go ahead. What's on your mind?
I think they're listening to the radio.
I think they're getting a delayed feed.
Hey, it's good to see Arya on the cam on D Live, but
but what?
The feed is delayed, so if you can hear me, I just want to get information about how to contact Ian, write him a letter.
Yeah.
He's looking for information. He wants to write Ian a letter.
He wants to write Ian a letter.
Yes.
I have it, but we should probably keep talking.
So what I would recommend is it's called the Valley Street Jail in Manchester, New Hampshire. Don't worry, it's all over the internet. As a matter of fact, we should probably put that up at thecrypto6.com.
The number 6.
Yeah, the number 6, thecryptonumber6.com, where you can go, get that information. But it's the Valley Street Jail in Manchester, New Hampshire. And what do you have to put on there? Just Ian Freeman, or do you have to have his name or anything like that?
Well, no, this is a different one. It's telling me. Yeah, I've heard it's a different one. It's.
Okay.
Do you want me to give the address that I have for nobody and Ian? This is the same address, and you don't need their inmate number. All you need is their name, and then you need to put 314 Daniel Webster Highway, Boscawen, New Hampshire 03303, and Boscawen is B as in boy, Oscar, Sierra, Cat, Alpha, W.
They're not going to be able to spell it anyway. Just give them some idea. So it's in Boscawen? It's
Yeah.
the jail in Boscawen. So look it up on the interwebs is what I would tell you. And you don't need the inmate number for it. And,
That's nobody, too. You can write to nobody.
Yeah.
And Ian.
Radio doesn't work that way. You can't rattle off numbers and expect things to go well. So it's best I can tell you. Let's go to this phone call unscreened. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I hear them quietly again.
Yeah, it's there's some kind of delay. We'll have to work on that during the top of the hour. Free Talk Live. Well, don't know what's going on with them. I got the baby bust article though that we're still working on. So it would appear as though far fewer people are having babies this year, and that the pandemic and economic concerns are basically the reason. I don't know if they don't want to bring people into a world where viruses exist.
In a world
where deadly viruses kill people like they have every year previously.
It pretty much has been like a movie, though.
It is weird.
Some sort of horrible horror.
I know plenty of people who are afraid for their kids because of the COVID, but I also know a lot of people that are just like, this is too crazy of a world. Like, this is just so much going on. Like, one of my friends has a baby already, and she's just like, I guess I'm just going to have to give her the vaccine, even though I don't know for sure that I want to, because she knows she can't just not have her kid going to school. She's got to work. She's a single mom.
Yeah. Well, I would say that there's probably some schools that you can send them to that don't require the vaccine. Whatever. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the vaccine is the only way that I'm going to be able to do travel. And so that's what I'm interested in. I haven't been too worried about it. As a matter of fact, I'm of the opinion that I'm likely what they call T-cell immune. I've traveled 2/3 of the way around the globe and back in 2020, and I got nothing. And I've been tested, umpteen PCR tests where they stick that swab up your nose. And then I've had 2 antigen tests, and they've all come up negative. So I've not only didn't have it when they tested me, but I've never had it according to their tests.
Right.
So I tend to think everything's fine for me, but obviously it's not true for everybody.
So you never
Longtime caller, the Christian Anarchist on this show, died of it. So you can pretend like it doesn't happen. It happens.
Well, he was like in his 70s.
And he was 69. And he was in quite good health for a 69-year-old. There's lots of factors, and I suspect we're not getting told everything. The number one vector for spreading this has been behind the family home has been bars.
Right.
Maybe it's alcohol, because alcohol does diminish your your
immune system.
So maybe it's drinking.
I want to talk about Dunbar's number. I think most people don't understand the mathematics behind this at all.
Okay. I would love to talk to you about Dunbar's number. I know I've heard the terminology, but it's not coming to mind right now. The number, 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
He may not wait. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. After 2 mass shootings in 2 weeks, the White House hints that President Biden may take executive action on gun control.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden isn't waiting for Congress to fail on gun reform, telling reporters executive orders are a powerful lever.
There's current discussions and analysis internally of what steps can be taken. That has been ongoing for several weeks, even before these 2 recent tragedies.
Psaki wouldn't say if the White House would craft its own gun reform legislation. 2 House-passed bills strengthening background checks face tough opposition in the equally divided Senate. Executive actions on gun control would most certainly face legal challenges. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
President Biden has put Vice President Harris in charge of addressing the flow of migrants that have been crossing the southern border in the past few weeks. The president said Harris is the most qualified to handle the task. He says one of the keys is to look at why people are coming.
The reason why so many people were leaving, we learned, was that not only gang violence and trafficking and cartels, but natural disasters, hurricanes, floods.
This as the Department of Defense is considering a request to house migrant children at a 3rd military base. A group of Senate Republicans led by Texas Senator Ted Cruz are set to visit the southern border later this week. Cruz says the children traveling alone are being put in harm's way.
These children are being physically abused, far too many of them, sexually abused, far too many of them, and it is Joe Biden's policies that is causing the abuse of these children.
The senators are expected to tour a border facility and travel with border agents. South Korea says North Korea has launched an unidentified projectile into the sea. This coming just days after the North test-fired a cruise missile. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that Cleopatra dated 3 different emperors? You would if you watched the series Women Who Made History on Curiosity Stream. Launched by the creator of Discovery Channel, Curiosity Stream is the opposite of mindless TV. This is nonfiction entertainment created by award-winning filmmakers, available on any device. Satisfy your curiosity for less than $2 a month at curiositystream.com/Fox. That's curiositystream.com/Fox.
The body of a volunteer firefighter has been recovered at the site of a devastating nursing home fire in New York State.
The remains of Jared Lloyd, who volunteered for a decade and a half, were recovered late Tuesday night. Lloyd was last heard from as he sent out a Mayday call from inside the Evergreen Court Home for Adults. Rockland County Executive Ed Day says Lloyd's story is one of bravery.
Determined to rescue anyone who may have been trapped. His loss is devastating. There is no other way to put it. But I will tell you this, his loss and his heroism will never be forgotten.
One resident who has not been identified also died. More than 100 residents were evacuated safely. The search for a cause of the fire continues. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Today is Equal Pay Day. Cecilia Rouse, the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, says the president and vice president are pushing Congress to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act.
This bill would be an important step towards ending pay discrimination through transparency and accountability for employers. They believe we must provide paid family and medical leave, make childcare more affordable, and build pipelines for training that enable women to access higher-paying jobs.
The Biden administration also says it wants to increase pay for child care workers. The rate of households homeschooling their children has doubled since last spring to the start of the new school year last September. That's according to a report from the Census Bureau. Last spring, about 5.4% of all U.S. households with school.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now, a lot of little girls do ballet even though their fathers couldn't care less and don't see what the big deal is. But one talented little prodigy actually choreographed a whole ballet that her father could enjoy and even look forward to. Let's meet Erin Kemper and her father, Jack.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Erin, how did you do that? I thought about all the things that my dad likes to watch and put it into a ballet.
Well, we have a special treat for you today because Erin is now going to perform her new ballet. When I pay the bills, I get to make the rules.
We can't afford that. World War II. I miss your mother too, but we're going to have to do the best without her. Go Redskins!
Bravo! Well done. Boy, I wish you were mine. You know, my two girls are grown up, but you still couldn't pay me to watch one of their a cappella shows. What inspired you to create this amazing ballet?
I'm really inspired by the theme of my dad paying any attention to me at all.
Now, at the end, I hear she just put the game up on the big screen.
I don't know where she gets it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. Top of the second hour to you. It's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
The number 603-283-6160. Yeah, we've had a week of catastrophic problems on Free Talk Live. I'm sorry. That's kind of one of the things that happens when FBI raids your studio and pulls all the cables out, and you got to try to put everything back together. Mostly they didn't break most of our equipment, most of it, but a few things here and there. So, yeah, we're trying to solve that problem. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. I am not going to talk about the raid unless somebody else brings it up again. If you want to bring it up, by all means, either of you guys here on the show, Johnson or Bonnie, or anybody else, you're welcome to ask whatever questions you have at 603-283-6160. I'm just ready to read the news.
I think somebody needs to call in and ask me about relationship advice because I'm really good at that and meeting in love. So
we were talking, during the break about what Free Talk Live used to be like.
Right.
And Free Talk Live was really Free Talk Live. Now, the demographics have changed in radio. The fact is that we used to do hot talk, kind of like guy talk radio. And, well,
there was a standing open question for years on the show of what's your favorite hamburger?
Yeah, something like that, right? Mine, of course, was at the time, my name was Manwich.
Yeah.
So, I liked it bold and spicy. There you go.
Yes.
603-283-6160. I'm going to go to Vernon. I have given Vernon instructions. I will give all of you the instructions here that it basically comes down to you got to spit whatever your question is out. I can't engage with you. We have a 6-second delay on the line. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. It has to do with the dump box, and I don't know what else to do. I mean, so just spit it out, Vernon. You're on Free Talk Live.
I have a question about not the rate of speech, but they're trying to make in. I think it was back to here. I'm kind of a little confused. That's why. So my question was one accusation. I want to preface this as I don't think this is true. I just want to get an opinion as to do other Bitcoin providers. Let's say I wanted to confirm Bitcoin that the intent of activation again is that basically fraudulent money putting into the Bitcoin and
Vernon, there's either something wrong with our line or there's something wrong with your phone. I don't know which one it is.
I think the clear answer to your
I do think I know the answer to the question. So it was basically, is the FBI trying to paint the entire Bitcoin sphere as a bunch of terrorists and drug dealers? And I think the answer to that is yes. Will they be successful in this ultimately? And I think the answer to that is no. They did find the exact right guy to take this all the way through to trial. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you what Ian's going to do, and I'm not going to pressure him to act in a certain way regarding these charges. But I can tell, I spoke to him today, and I spoke to his attorney today. And Ian sounds very much like a person who doesn't believe that any of this is true, that it's brought against him. I don't either. And that he fully intends to take this all the way to trial, and doesn't even, in fact, believe that it will make it to trial because that they'll have to drop the charges and those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And
this time, I really hope he pursues them.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I hope that it doesn't make it to trial, but then he sues them for doing this wrong. I don't want him to have to go to trial, but that's just me.
I can tell you the FBI does not care one whit about us talking about suing them. They don't believe for a second that it'll be a problem. And if we sue them and win, they don't have to pay. It's not them. Now, I have heard that anybody who loses a case in the FBI, basically it costs them their career. So maybe
take one out.
Yeah, right. That wouldn't bother me at all.
How could you possibly do more damage than they've already done? The only way it could go is better, right? I mean,
I think
they could lock Ian up for.
Yeah, I was going to say Ian being
he's facing 10 years.
No. When you
life.
say lose your career, I don't mean going into prison. I'm saying if you went after them for wrongful, prosecution or wrongful persecution in this case, even because it's been multiple times. So, if you go after them for that and you were to lose that suit, you say you lose your career. I mean, how could it really get worse than how they've already the libelous, horrible things that they've already said and done.
No,
right.
He's saying the FBI agents would lose
the FBI
their career.
agents and the prosecutor.
Oh,
so the lead agent and the prosecutor.
Oh,
if they fumble here, then likely I've heard. I don't know that this is true. This is just things you hear. Is that basically they lose their their career is stalled out, and that's it. So they're never going to go any higher. And of course, these are government bureaucrats that want nothing more than to graduate to the next level of bureaucracy and do better, make more and all that stuff. They're already getting paid ridiculous sums compared to, your state agents, comparative state agents.
Right.
But so I don't know. That's just something I've heard.
I've noticed some local Keene police, when dealing with them, have been dressing differently, and I was kind of amused.
Oh yeah,
like the shirts and ties and the coats and the dude, stop pretending.
What do you mean, since when?
Since recently, with these busts and some of the videos that I've seen of them, that there have been certain officers in the Keene police, wearing a shirt and tie and some sort of long coat and pretending like they're
FBI agents.
FBI agents.
This is true around the nation. Is the FBI is basically the big kid on the recess yard, and everybody, they all run around. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? This sounds like fun. It's amazing.
I want him to be my friend.
Yeah, it's amazing the way that they do it. You're never going to be an FBI agent.
Yeah.
There's no reason to run salivating after these people. None at all. And they're not special. They're just bureaucrats just like you. And I say this as a person who worked for the fire department for close to a decade. Look, I was never going to be NYFD. I was never going to be that. And I knew that. And I wasn't going to look up to somebody because they happened to work for a big department in a big city.
Because their dad knew someone.
Right. Your dad was in that department. His dad was in the department. All that nonsense. It's ridiculous. Look, I got to be a firefighter because I wanted to help my community. I didn't even get paid for it. I was volunteer. And that was the only reason that I did it. And hopefully that's the reason that people get into service. But in fact, mostly it's because they want the steady paycheck and that kind of thing. And, hey, I'm not saying the FBI is all bad or anything like that. They did a great job eliminating kidnapping in America. Basically, kidnapping doesn't occur anymore. And I know why they're concerned with Bitcoin, because it could bring kidnapping back. It's a fascinating look at things, and they don't want that because they managed to eliminate it. And I hope that they can keep it eliminated. But you don't do that by taking people's freedoms away. That's not the way we get more freedom. Security isn't worth giving your freedoms up for. So, and yeah, I mean, there's other countries around the world where kidnapping is a real issue, and you got to be careful of that stuff. So there you go.
Well, my boyfriend was kidnapped, I can tell you that.
You're right. The government stole your boyfriend. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you want to donate to the campaign, because we are taking this all the way. Well, I can't say we're taking it all the way to trial because I'm not arrested. Everybody I've talked to has made the indication that they are innocent and that they do not intend to buckle, and that they want to go forward with it. So the website is the crypto and the numeral 6, thecrypto6.com.
There's also something I'd like to mention if somebody wants to, because I don't think it's been added to the Crypto 6 yet, but a t-shirt has been designed.
Oh, really?
And ordered, and it is up and available for order, and you can make donations through thinkpenguin.com.
Okay.
So if you wanted to donate and also get a shirt, that's possible. It says free the Crypto 6, Bitcoin is not a crime.
Well, if you send me some information about that, I'll get that on the website.
I'm sure it's already in process to do that.
All right. I'll take your word for it. The number, 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
AnyPay believes that Bitcoin is meant to improve your life, make it easier to do business, connect you with more people in the world at under a penny every time. That's kind of why we laugh at BTC. It used to be free the market, free the world. Now it's just hodl and have fun staying poor. That's not what the world needs. We need honest money that works for everyone. If you care, join us at anypayx.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
We were just talking about the crypto, the numeral 6.com. That's thecrypto6.com. And you can go there and you can donate to the legal campaigns of the hosts here who, frankly, don't know why they've been arrested by the FBI. I mean, the charges have been leveled, but they all appear to be false. So I don't know. I know we're fighting. So your help will be certainly useful. Did we already do introductions?
Oh, we did.
Okay, great. Let's just go to the phones here. I'm going to do Scott the Bigot calling in from Florida. Now, by the way, everybody, all they can do here is they can talk, and then I got to hang up on them. So I can't carry a conversation on. We're having some phone issues. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live. See.
I've known Ian for years now, and he is a gentle, intelligent, kind person, and he does not deserve to be railroaded by the FBI. I know that he's going to be innocent, and he's being persecuted by the FBI, Federal Bureau of Intimidation. So I will pray for Ian and FTL in my prayers, and I know that he's going to be vindicated. This is a witch hunt.
Thank you for the call, Scott. Really appreciate that support. And I know many people feel the way Scott does. And look, Free Talk Live is an outlet for lots of people. We believe in freedom of speech here on Free Talk Live, and that's even for speech that otherwise wouldn't be on other platforms. Now, I don't support the speech necessarily, but I do support. Now something's going. Now we're going crazy.
Wow.
Okay, hold on just a second.
We're being abducted.
Yeah, we're having
there was
technicals here.
Definitely audio coming on Aria. Aria's bug squashing during the show because there's no other way to figure out how to make the audio on the phones work. And so if you got hung up on, and it looks like some people did, you can always call back in. Terribly sorry about that. I know who's on the line, and I have it written down.
Well, I love Ian Compliments Talk Live, so I just wanted to add that I agree that he's a very gentle, peaceful person, and he doesn't deserve this. Even during the raid, he doesn't get mad. He was wearing his little slippers, and he walked by Chris and he said, "Good morning."
Chris?
One
of the cops?
The Penguin, no.
Oh, okay.
The Penguin was filming, and you see Ian in one part say, "Good morning."
Yep. Well, Ian manages to keep his cool during this stuff, and this is what this is his thing. He wants to be in conflict with the people who are aggressing against other people. So, yep. Okay.
I think it's also interesting all the stuff that's been brought up in the articles about the raid in regards to the church, and I find it particularly amusing and interesting as the one atheist of the group who had said, "I'm not getting involved because it's a church," and they're like, "It's not a church." I'm like, "Oh, I can tell you, it was a church, and I didn't want to be involved because I don't believe in any of that nonsense."
Yeah, it fits the the Internal Revenue Service's code for what a church is, and just because it doesn't have a pointy roof and you can't go there on Sunday, that doesn't mean it's not a church.
I had many a conversation with Ian, both on and off air, about his silly beliefs in panentheism and, God being everything and everything being God and the whole universe and everybody and we're all one hippy-dippy nonsense. And, it was not something that I wanted to be a part of, and it was a real thing. It wasn't a fake thing. It's just like any other church that I didn't want to be a part of. It was a church. There was a religious thing involved. I mean, yes, it was open to somebody if they wanted to be an atheist and be a part. Ian made that very clear to me.
Yep.
But I didn't want to I didn't want to participate.
That was what I was going to say just now, that the Shire Free Church is for people of all beliefs and creeds, and it's a place where the Shire Free Church is, this radio show in part, and it's a church organization, and what we bring is we believe in, frankly, freedom of speech. We believe in the non-aggression principle. We believe in the basics of good, honest behavior, and we believe there's a God. What else does it take to be a church? I'm not going to tell you what God thinks because I don't know.
I mean, the irony is there are two organizations, that being one organization. Another organization that I had been invited to is the Masons, the Freemasons. So I know several people in Florida who are Freemasons and who thought it would be a good idea for me to join. And they said, but you need to believe in a higher power. So that's an organization that said, if you don't say at the very least that you believe in a higher power, we won't accept you. The opposite was true of the Shire Free Church, where it was said, okay, you don't have to believe in a higher power, we will accept you, because it's peace and unity and whatnot. But I didn't want to join, so it was the exact opposite. And and only for reason of religion. And the only reason why I bring this up is because saying that it was not a real religious organization, which is what has been implied and insinuated very viciously by some of these journalists who really shouldn't call themselves that. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I'd love to have the opportunity in a courtroom to discuss whether or not Free Talk Live and the Shire Free Church are a church. The Shire Free Church and its radio program Free Talk Live is a church, because I am confident of the truth of that. I don't think anybody's going to give me the opportunity to do that, because it's so true. And the reason that we became a church is because my belief that Free Talk Live is it preaches a moral system, as opposed to Democrats and Republicans, because everybody wants to call Free Talk Live politics. It's not. We don't talk politics. We'll talk about news of the day, and then we'll say what the people did wrong, in so much as how they didn't follow the moral code of the non-aggression principle. And if everybody followed it, we'd be a lot better off. As opposed to all this stuff about, you got to circumcise your kid, or, you got to pray 5 times a day, or we just can't live with our sons being gay, or whatever that nonsense is that passes for religions out there. No.
Even the state's religion is worse than non-aggression principle.
Well, the state's religion isn't even codified. Look at this. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is supposed to enforce U.S. code. U.S. code's very clear that nothing that Ian was doing was money transmitting, but they arrested him for it anyway. I mean, they're ridiculous.
They're a corrupt religion.
It's funny. I had a realization recently. You know, we've heard a lot of news stories in recent years and people talking about consent in the news, and it's funny to me because I'm like, we live in an entire society where everything is based on a lack of consent.
A lack of consent, and then everybody's worried about consent.
Right.
Well, you consent by living here. Right, that's what they say.
Yeah.
And well,
you were asking for it.
When did I consent? What if I lived in the same place? What if
you were born here, therefore?
What if I, like so many people, am in the same town in which I was born, and I've never left? At what point did the consent occur? Was it on my 18th birthday? Was it on my 16th birthday? Was it my 21st birthday? I'm not sure when I consented to all these rules that were made up
of the governed.
That's right. It's ridiculous. If you think that you know about the consent of the governed, the number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, You cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agrishosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agrishosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agrishosting.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
The number 603-283-6160. It's 603-283-6160. So, regardless of what's happened with our co-hosts who've all gone, the ones who've gone in the pokey, we're still going to have Fork Fest 2021. You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, libertarians, all from June the 28th through July 4th for the Fork Fest 2021 week at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Basically, it is a decentralized camping event. Nobody's in charge. That's why if Ian's not there, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, the leader.
Yep. So you want to just reserve your camping RV site or motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th, and check out the website. That basically you'll get most of your information there. It's forkfest.party. That's forkfest.party. And mark your calendars for June the 28th through July the 4th. Forkfest.party. So let's go to the phones and see if we can take some people's calls here, or what is going to amount to a call. Let's go to Chadwick. Chadwick, you're on Free Talk Live. I'm not hearing anything from Chadwick at this point. Yep. Well, back to the drawing board, are you? Yep, I'll try Bad Slave. Okay. Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live. Nope, no audio. Not getting anything. Every mistake is something new that is learned. Oh, the phone was stopped. Ah, my fault. My fault, Aria. Terribly sorry. All right, try it again, Chadwick.
Hey, you guys hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Hey. Hey.
Sounds like it's real time.
Hey, are we talking in real time, Chadwick? Chadwick, are we talking in real time?
Yeah.
What did you have to ask
I think
us?
so. Did you just say we were talking in real time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, big.
So what's on your mind?
Well, I just want to say love you guys. Hope you're all doing good tonight, and I love your show. One thing I wanted to say was I've been paying attention a lot to the immigration issue the past few months, how it's tiered up, et cetera, through the Biden administration. And, I noticed a lot of stuff on Fox News or CNN. And, of course, they're always boxing back and forth between the left wing and a right wing ideology. Mm-hmm. But one thing I've always noticed, it seems, in the past few years is, a Republican idea is let's limit the amount of people, let's do a bunch of checks. You need to do it the right way. Democrats are more maybe empathetic and say, let's let as many people in as we can, et cetera, et cetera. But, with Trump, we wanted to build a wall. We wanted to stop it with the left-wing Democratic ideal. Let's don't do that. Let's bring them in. They can make contributions. But it seems like no one ever really talks about let's help the Mexican government get the cartel out of politics, get them out of the parliament, get people out, help them get away from that, invest in them so they can get their own infrastructure. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Mexico, but if you go outside the cities, a lot of those rural communities, they look like third world countries.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yep.
Very little access to water, access to good jobs and stuff. So there's no wonder that they want to come here. It's just very sad to me. And it just seems like we only fix the problem, or we fix the problem of illegal immigration and influx. We never want to go to the root of it, which is trying to help Mexico have good infrastructure, get them on their feet, and get the cartels out of the politics.
I can tell you one thing, because my ex-husband is from Mexico. Every single buddy wants to save Mexico.
What do you mean? Who's?
It's a joke, like within people from Mexico, like,
Okay.
he's gonna save Mexico one day.
That's the politician, you mean?
No, just like Chadwick's ideas, like somebody in their family is like, oh, he's the one that's going to be the savior of Mexico one day, because everybody says that, but what can you really do? You can't really just go in a country and fix all their problems for them.
Yeah, and the bureaucracy it doesn't want that anyway in many cases. Let's not forget, I think it's worth pointing out, is the United States drug war is what allowed the cartels to get entrenched in Mexico in the first place. Had it not been for the drug war in the United States, the cartels wouldn't have had the power to do what they did and taken that over. Thank you for the call, by the way, Chadwick. Really appreciate it. This is, I would actually say that I'm opposed to what Chadwick's saying. First off, I don't think that we're getting the freedom, that the United States is going in the right direction. So I'm looking for freer places around the world. And I would say the freest place in the United States is the U.S. Marianas. I don't think that New Hampshire has any hope of being...
they have a really good trench.
The Marianas, yes, they do. It's quite deep. Not too far away either. The New Hampshire is not going to secede from the United States, so thus it has all the problems the U.S. has. And in fact, you'll probably find more freedom. That you got to make your money, perhaps, in the United States, but that you may find a better life in a different country outside of the U.S. So I say you got to move to where it is that's going to make you the happiest. And if that means moving to the United States to earn a living, I think that is honestly the right of a person. Now, I get that there's some functional difficulties with that. I know that the Republicans don't want a whole bunch of people coming in and voting for bigger government, but you could make an immigration program where they didn't get to vote.
And it also makes sense because the way the whole system is set up is these handout programs.
Sure.
And so, unfortunately, you have an entire political class that is incentivized to hand out freebies in order to gain and maintain power.
What percentage of U.S. families, households, I think is probably the term we use now. We don't use the term family anymore. What percentage of U.S. households receives a government check? Now, that could be a Social Security check. That could be a contractor that works for a government agency. That could be a cop, firefighter, school teacher, blah, blah, blah. These kind of things. But what percentage? I don't know what the number is, but I have heard numbers well above 50%. If more than 50% of U.S. households are receiving a check from the government, it is lost, ladies and gentlemen. It's over because freedom and the state do not go together.
Right.
If the state doesn't provide you with freedom, it does not protect freedom.
I mean, people are already talking about that it's a foregone conclusion that we're heading towards universal basic income at this point, which is it's totalitarianism. It's total government control, because when they can say, you don't do this or we take away your income.
Yeah. Then that's it.
That's it for any reason.
I used to live on military bases, and if you even act slightly like against the government, people will always be like, yeah, but we got to have our jobs. And it's just like, especially since I lived on a military base where over half of them were civilians, they're just like, you can't cut the government at all. People will lose their jobs.
Right. It's all about people losing their jobs. And I understand that stinks. But there's a such thing as attrition. You could not hire people for those jobs that come open, but they're not doing that either because they don't actually want to solve that problem. They want these make work programs, and that's what government jobs are. I'm not saying that every garbage man and every firefighter and every cop doesn't do work, but I am saying that in the marketplace, we don't know what their jobs are worth, and we don't know what the workload they can handle because the marketplace doesn't provide their job. We do know, security guards tend to make less money than police officers. I wonder why. Well, I don't know. And maybe security guards need to be paid more because they're putting their lives in danger. We don't know because the marketplace is perverted by all of these cop jobs.
Right.
And that's just how it goes. Now, not talking out against cops, although I'm not feeling so positive against the FBI right about now. But that's the reality of the situation is that, and you know what? You know what I want in America? I want people who want to work hard and make a better life for themselves and their families. I don't want anybody who's going to come take a bunch of free money. And I don't think that should be reserved for Americans. Are you kidding?
Right.
I mean, if it's bad for immigrants, why isn't it bad for Americans? Why is it that public parks put up signs that say, "Don't feed the bears"? Because they become reliant on it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's no different. 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. The number 603-283-6160. It's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
So we were talking previously about sort of COVID and its effects on demographic changes now. Apparently, people are financially insecure because of COVID, and they're not having kids, like on a massive scale. So there's a dramatic downtick in the U.S. Birth rate from the 2008 economic crisis. And now it looks like that's repeating itself. And then, of course, immigration was brought up, which you can't mention birth rates without mentioning immigration, because that's one of the ways we get new people here.
I think also I would attribute COVID. I know we had talked about a myriad of reasons of why the birth rate might have gone down from COVID, and I think one that should be mentioned too is I think that there were also a phenomenal amount of breakups that occurred during COVID. And
people realized they couldn't spend that kind of time with each other,
and it hasn't been that long yet that people would be having kids already from new relationships.
Yeah, but
that they may or may not have entered into.
Well, I think that the story is worth reporting on, because it used to be, hey, whenever there's a hurricane or a blackout or a blizzard or whatever the thing is, this catastrophic event that, say, knocks out power or whatever, people just stop watching TV and start humping. and I would have guessed, if somebody would have asked me, will the birth rate go up, down, or stay about the same post-COVID, I would have said it's going up.
Right.
Because at least in my experience, I spent about 2 or 3 weeks locked down to flatten the curve. I went for that. And, I don't regret it or anything like that. But there are other states where they've basically been locked down the entire time. And I haven't experienced that. I'm not traveling for pleasure. I'm traveling for work, so it's considered essential, and I can go. And I've basically been continuing to do the things that I've been trying to do, and I'll take my precautions here and there. Anyway, we'll get back to that here shortly, but I'm going to go to the phones. We got Bad Slave on the line, and we're going to try out Aria keeps on messing with the phone system tonight, trying to squash bugs and make sure that we can talk to folks. So, Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live.
And I am here.
Hello.
Thank you again for taking my call. Listen, there's a long delay.
Oh, yeah, you're just going to have to go ahead.
Yep, just go ahead.
All righty. I just want to say that the solution for the FBI problem and a whole lot of other problems is a full universal nullification of all unconstitutional law.
Let's drop it right there. So he suggests nullifying unconstitutional laws. I presume he's talking about on a federal level.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I think the ship has sailed, but I think it's worth mentioning is that the United States Constitution, you all read it in high school, you remember it. The 10th Amendment says, 9th and 10th Amendments basically sum up the notion that, hey, we're putting all the powers of the federal government in this document. We're listing them specifically, and anything that's not listed here is a right of the states or the people, respectively. And that's it. And so the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations, is not mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. So therefore, it would be null and void by that standard. The argument against that is that, look, there are some crimes that happen between states. And it's the United States federal government's job to police sort of extra state problems. And so therefore we need a policing agency. I mean, what would the founders thought of police? They didn't even know, like, the word police hadn't even really existed. The first police force was 1850 in London. So, the Constitution, for those that don't know, was ratified in 1789. Is that right? 1789? Yeah, sounds right. Articles of Confederation prior to that. So, they didn't know what police were, but they knew what sheriffs were. So, what do I think? I think the FBI could have a role in doing good in the world, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. But obviously, when they're running around arresting people for money transmitting that aren't doing the legal definition of money transmitting, that's a problem. But yeah, I'm all for returning to some kind of federal government that's constitutional. I just don't think it's going to happen.
You know, there was a constitutional amendment that almost passed, and I think it was during Lyndon Johnson's administration, that there was, you know, all this debate about it, and it was going to happen. It was basically they had almost ratified an amendment to say that no one who was ever a lawyer could serve in public office.
And
that was either the 13th. I think it was the 13th.
No, not 13th. No, that's the one that ended slavery.
Well, no, it was supposed to be. It was part of one. It was part of another amendment, but that it got chopped.
Okay,
essentially. There was.
I think that's interesting. You know, I've often said on the air here that they say it's a government by the people, of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a government of the lawyers, by the lobbyists,
right,
for the corporations.
Yeah, it seems like if you get into government after you've been a lawyer, you have like you're like double dipping, or you have a conflict of interest because you're sitting there, you know, making precedences and stuff.
You're sitting there making laws, which are what lawyers use to make money. I mean, if it weren't for the laws, the lawyers wouldn't make money, right? And so it's this lawyer industrial complex that has sprung up that makes it so that we have more lawyers per person than any other country in the world.
I mean, can you imagine how different society would be if there was ever a law in place that said that if you're a lawyer, you can't hold public office?
It'd be fascinating.
It would be immensely different.
Yeah. I would say that would generally be a good thing, but I still say the power seekers are out there. Right now, the path to becoming a power seeker is lawyer, but if you change that, then the path would just change. It's like a river. When you dam up one side, it just goes and, you know, does other things. So I don't think that's necessarily a solution.
Remember when it used to be doctors and lawyers?
Yes. Yeah. There's a few.
Getting rid of every law that's unconstitutional would make the government so small that people would not oppose it just in the name of, but people will lose their jobs.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, you know, the federal government is incredibly large and doesn't have have business doing a heck of a lot of things, but it does. Interesting. I was thinking when you were talking about that, I was thinking about the TSA. I go through an airport regularly that doesn't have the TSA. The Sarasota Bradenton Airport doesn't have the TSA. And I regularly go through there, and, you know, the bureaucracy is very similar. Their uniforms are similar, and I think there's a TTS or something like that is what they've got, some private security company. And they follow some TSA regulations. It's one thing if the federal government had some regulations for private security companies to follow. It's another thing entirely when they employ a bunch of bureaucrats who are really difficult to fire.
Right. Meanwhile, how long has it been since 9/11? Something like almost 20 years.
And the TSA has never caught a terrorist.
Right.
Never. Now,
completely useless bureaucracy.
Oh, no, they're very useful. They're basically drug warriors. I mean, this is what it came down to is that they really wanted to go through your suitcases and stuff to see whether you've got drugs. And that's what it's all about.
Bringing in more money.
Right. And so American people would have never gone for, let's hire a bunch of, welfare, losers or whatever to go through people's baggage to see whether or not they've got drugs in it. America would have never gone for that. But post 9/11, there's a catastrophe. Let's have a policing agency that stops terrorists. Well, the TSA's red team has tested itself, and every time we've ever gotten a report, and we don't get very many of them, they've missed, I think it's on average 75%, but the lowest they've missed was 50% of guns, knives, and bombs that they tested themselves on.
Oh my.
And I can tell you, I mean, I know people, I've gotten, I've had bullets come through in luggage that I was traveling with. I know a guy who got a gun through, not on purpose. Right. I know myself, I've gotten knives through accidentally. I just forgot to take it out. And there it is, the knife. But by God, we
can't imagine how those things couldn't be absolutely crystal clear on an X-ray too. You know, like
yeah, I accidentally got a lighter on.
Yeah, lighters are they were not acceptable, and then they were acceptable. I don't even know what the rules are on lighters. I do kind of like the rule on 100 milliliters of liquid that you can have, because at the very least, America's adopting the metric system, if only glacially slow. The number, 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160. Is the drug war and the concomitant growth of the state worth the metric system? Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Leading the efforts at the border. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden has put Vice President Harris in charge of the administration's response to the surge of migrants at the southern border.
The president is delegating to Vice President Kamala Harris a diplomatic mission. As the U.S. suggests that now is not the time for migrants to come, the vice president's role will be
work with those nations to accept the returnees and enhance migration enforcement at their borders.
Vice President Harris says she will enforce the law, but in addition,
address the root causes that cause people to make the trek.
This comes as White House and congressional officials tour border facilities that are housing unaccompanied minors. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Senate is considering voting reform legislation. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer argues it's needed after some states purged voter rolls and limited early voting options after last year's election.
In Arizona, no fewer than 22 separate measures to limit voting rights have been introduced, including a bill to require every absentee ballot to be notarized. How are poor people going to pay for a notary?
Republican leader Mitch McConnell says Washington can't change the rules for every state.
Now, we've just seen 2 consecutive presidential elections, 2016 and 2020, where chunks of Americans on both the left and the right took turns refusing to accept the result when their side lost. We can't afford to go further down this road.
A House version of the bill passed earlier this month. Just days after the mass shooting at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado, police in Atlanta say they've arrested a man who walked into a grocery store with 5 guns and body armor. The man, identified as 22-year-old Rico Marley, has been charged with reckless conduct. Investigators say he's undergoing a psychiatric evaluation. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The White House says it's making great progress in getting COVID vaccines to the public, with 27 million doses allocated all across distribution channels this week.
2/3 of the 27 million doses will be going to states and jurisdictions for them to distribute to distribution sites. And the rest will go to either channels, primarily the pharmacy program.
White House coronavirus response advisor Andy Slavitt and the White House COVID task force says 70% of Americans aged 65 and over have gotten at least one dose of vaccine. A ride-sharing service getting further into the prescription delivery service.
Uber will be delivering medications from pharmacies and some top grocery chains that use the prescription delivery service Script Drop. The service will be available in 37 states and will eventually expand to others in the coming weeks and months. The pandemic has fueled a rise in mail order and courier-based drug deliveries, with people avoiding in-person trips to the pharmacy. This is not the first time Uber has been involved with prescription deliveries. Last year, it partnered with digital delivery marketplace Nimble RX to deliver prescriptions in a handful of cities. Uber also has other healthcare abilities, including a tool that lets doctors or other providers book rides for patients to and from appointments. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
A popcorn machine has been removed from the state capitol building in North Dakota after it triggered fire alarms twice, causing firefighters to show up and lawmakers to evacuate. Representative Mary
calling it the most effective means to reaching one's full earning potential. A new report issued by the Employee Benefit Research Institute this week found that violently slamming one's supervisor against a wall and shouting, "Cash, I need more cash," is still the leading tactic for securing a raise amongst American workers.
We found that employees have the most success negotiating their salaries when they stride confidently into their supervisor's office, manhandle them like a rag doll, and demand more money right now.
Experts confirmed that the majority of employees who managed to increase their salaries maintained direct eye contact with their supervisors while reiterating that they were not f***ing around, emphasizing their position with phrases such as, "Give me the money now," and "I said more cash, old man." The Onion sat down with Kevin Simmons, who recently applied these methods in negotiating a competitive bump in his annual salary.
So the other day I walked right into his office, grabbed his throat with my hand, and told him straight up, "Start paying me more f***ing money today." And I grabbed $100 out of his wallet and told him that was a good start.
This is the Onion News Network.
An update now on a legal battle emerging around the Onion News Network's own Jode Kressbeckler. After the shocking story yesterday that a group of assailants attacked Congressman William Cummings, tied him to a horse, and dragged him through a briar patch, some are now saying these statements from Mr. Kressbeckler last week may have incited the attack.
Bootlegging Congressman Cummings ought to be tied to a horse and drugged through a briar patch.
Mr. Kressbeckler's show is billed as an opinion and entertainment program.
Yes,
and
it
he
is.
even calls himself nothing but a caterwauling old badger, so the claim that he would incite people to violence seems pretty far-fetched.
He displayed a map of Congressman Cummings' home in relation to the nearest briar patch, told his viewers where to purchase a, quote, good pulling horse, and used a life-size dummy of Congressman Cummings to demonstrate effective knot-tying techniques.
Right. You know, I think most reasonable people would see that as simply a ribald political satire.
Right.
Briar patch is obviously a metaphor for the prickly political atmosphere in Washington, and drag from a horse means something else.
Makes sense to me.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. We've got some issues going on tonight. We're still putting things together. If you listened to last night's show on the radio, you heard a bunch of fuzz, so we're doing a lot better than that. Aria's right now bug squashing when it comes to audio on the air, specifically phone calls, and we'll see how things go here in just a minute with Richard. But it's Mark with you.
And Johnson.
And Bonnie.
And yeah, let's go to the phones and see what Richard has to say here on Free Talk Live. Richard, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, thank you so much. Mark, it's really good to hear your voice. When all that went down, I was kind of wondering if your name might be on there, but it's not.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Oh, we're talking in real time.
Yes, finally.
Oh, Aria gets a cookie. Somebody get a Girl Scout cookie for Aria. What I was doing, don't you love those things? Are you Thin Mints or Samoas?
Samoas, but I love Thin Mints.
Thin Mint.
Thin Mint, Richard?
The peanut butter ones.
Oh, you like the tag-alongs?
I'm not good with
names
or anything.
Samoas for me. I don't care. I'm currently on a no sugar diet. If somebody laid out 3 Samoas sitting here right here in front of me, I would eat them.
What are those? Are those the marshmallow one?
No, they're
caramel and coconut.
Yeah, they're like a cookie with coconut, like brown coconut and chocolate on the top. And God, they're so good. Anyway, what was the question, Richard? I've forgotten now. I was
okay. So, Marianas. I'm so into that. I'm already kind of planning a winter vacation there to check that out.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. And I've been a listener since about 2005.
Impressive.
And I've always enjoyed your opinion, which seems to be more vast than, like, being just digging in on, like, a pinprick in a map and just all that. And so I'm really glad that you're out, you're on the air. And I think possibly that this radio show could reach more people since you're going to be, driving, you're driving for a while. And I think there's the possibility to reach more people and open more minds. And I think that's cool.
Well, thank you for that, Richard. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the call. So, I think that there's some different philosophies between Ian and I. And I think that probably this situation is going to open Ian's eyes to, different things. And we're going to try some different stuff. We've already discussed that on air. So, yes, big things are coming for Free Talk Live. And I, too, am excited about that. I want to talk about the Marianas. If you're interested in moving to what I call the freest place in the United States. Now,
which is somehow all the way on the other side of the planet.
It is, yeah. It's it's way over there. What I would do is I would download the Telegram app. If you don't already have it, and you should. Download the Telegram app and search CNMI. That stands for Commonwealth Northern Mariana Islands. And the CNMI, I think it's the Crypto Network. What's that?
Just sound like you said see an enemy.
The CNMI Crypto Network is a great group where you can go and find people that are there and all this project is the idea of encouraging the adoption of cryptocurrency and crypto-friendly legislation in the CNMI. This isn't, hey, if you want to go and cover yourself in peanut butter and run down the street screaming for liberty. No. You go ahead and move to Manchester, New Hampshire, right where you belong, and you go find your friends at the Quildren, and you hang out and have a grand old time. We do not want you in the Marianas if you're going to, raise a ruckus and cause all kinds of problems. But I will say that it is very likely already the freest place in the United States, and it's got all the amenities that I wanted to have. I never experienced what they call island fever when I was there. And I think the reason for me, and everybody has their own reasons, island fever is basically a form of homesickness, is that it has everything I needed or everything that I would want to see. So, like there's chain restaurants, and sometimes I want to go out to a chain restaurant. I admit it. For me, it's very important to be able to eat the kind of foods that I want. One of the things that I hate about Mexico is Mexican food. To me, I'd like to have Mexican food once a week. But there they call Mexican food in Mexico food. And they serve tacos with every meal. And look, that's the way they eat, but I don't like it. It's not not for me. And so
it's for me.
Yeah, great. I mean, love it. If you love it, you love it. It's great. You should do that. But I don't. And for me, I want to have the variety, and Saipan had all of Saipan is the major island of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, and I really loved it there. Can't wait to get back. I am a resident. I gave up my residency in New Hampshire of like almost 14 years. I could have run for governor. I could have done whatever. And to me, I didn't see New Hampshire moving in the direction that I wanted to see it. And I didn't see New Hampshire seceding from the United States, thus under the thumb of the federal government. And frankly, that's why I say we got raided.
I have a question.
Yep.
I heard that you can't own a gun in Northern Marianas Islands or like something like that.
Well, they used to be quite anti-gun, but the Second Amendment Foundation took them to court a few times now, and they're, they can't enforce that. It's just not so. You can get a gun and have a gun. Now, if you try to follow their rules as they want you to follow them, they'll run you around in circles all the time, but they will never charge you over having a gun.
Personally, guns just seem to cause more problems than help in my life. I'm not a gun libertarian, but it does seem important for people to be able to have them if they want them.
I think free people can own guns, but I don't think that guns create freedom. If they did, then New Hampshire, Arizona, Alaska, Vermont would be free places, and they're not.
Utah.
Yeah, wherever it is that gun ownership, constitutional carry is legal. Vermont recently went from constitutional carry. It used to be called Vermont carry.